Yate, welcome to Little Chase. With this video, we want to celebrate the recent midterm elections because monumental strides were made at a national level, state level, and local level for Native Americans. For starters, Sharice Davids and Deb Haaland are the first Native American women to be elected to Congress. Peggy Flanagan is Minnesota's first Native American lieutenant governor. Ruth Buffalo, who's one of the first Native American women to be elected to North Dakota's state legislature. Unseated Randy Boning, who coincidentally was a primary sponsor of North Dakota's voter ID law. And both Willie Gray Eyes and Kenneth Maryboy won their bids for Utah's San Juan County, bringing a majority of the seats to Navajo people for the first time ever. These wins unlock so many possibilities for Native Americans, especially for young Native American women. So we're gonna go beyond the headlines and dive a little bit deeper into a few of these elections.
Let's talk about Deb Haaland. As a lawyer and graduate of the University of New Mexico, a member of the Laguna Pueblo tribe, and a long-serving advocate for Native American voters in the San Felipe community, as well as for tribal communities throughout the state of New Mexico. She now represents New Mexico's 1st congressional district with 59% of the vote. In her victory speech, she said,
70 years ago, Native Americans right here in New Mexico couldn't vote. Can you believe that? Growing up in my mother's Pueblo household and as a 35th generation New Mexican, I never imagined a world where I would be represented by someone who looks like me. Tonight, New Mexico, you are sending one of the very first Native American women to Congress.
There's a lot of depth to this quote that we want to unpack in terms of her public service and her family history. First, Deb Haaland has been working with various political campaigns for the past 20 years. Early on as a phone volunteer, she spent her time reaching out to Native Americans to get them to the polls, to make sure they exercised their right to vote. On one particular occasion, she was able to register multiple generations that lived in one house. Parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. She recalls,
"The last man I registered stood up and said, 'Thank you so much. I've always wanted to vote but never knew how.'" She adds, "It's very clear to me that we always need to reach out."
Now, decades later, imagine someone like that, who fought to ensure Native Americans had a voice in government, is now one of the 435 voting members of the House. She now has the authority and power to introduce legislation directly addressing tribal issues. Another important thing to consider is that Deb Haaland's family has been directly impacted by U.S. assimilation policies, which were designed to remove Native American individuals from their tribes into white society. These policies were designed to strip away our language, our culture, and our heritage. One of the most infamous examples is the Carlisle boarding school, which her great-grandfather was sent to. We're gonna get into the boarding school system later, but just to give you a quick snapshot, the motto central to the development of the school was to kill the Indian and save the man. Despite the adversity, her family overcame these assimilation policies and raised one of the most prominent women in Native America.
During the campaign for Sharice Davids, the headlines repeatedly referenced her distinctions as a lesbian, Native American, ex-MMA fighter. But if we dig a little further, we see that she's a lawyer who graduated from Cornell Law. She's a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation, an expert in community development, economics, finance, and coffee. In 2010, she left what I can imagine to be a lucrative career in corporate law to spend 5 years on the Pine Ridge Reservation, which is home to some of the poorest communities in the country, with an unemployment rate around 40 to 50%. On Pine Ridge, she worked directly with tribal members on economic development. And she went so far as to establish her own coffee company. And while it may not have succeeded in terms of turning a profit, she used local resources and higher quality products to promote her community. And just the fact that she did this and that she's so willing to share her knowledge with others, that's huge. And it serves to encourage future Native American entrepreneurs. So, when a Republican precinct committeeman belittled her contributions with some outrageous statement, calling her a
"Radical socialist kickboxing lesbian Indian will be sent backpacking to the reservation,"
that pissed a lot of people off, including members of his own party. And as a result of his message, he resigned. We want to remind people that there's a lot of substance to Sharice Davids as a person. Now, as a representative of Kansas's 3rd congressional district, we can see her qualities and experience demonstrated through her leadership. And hopefully we can see her sponsor some legislation that benefits tribal entrepreneurs in rural communities.
In San Juan County, Willie Gray Eyes and Kenneth Maryboy's victory is a great example of perseverance for fair and accurate representation in local politics. While Navajos make up a majority of the population in San Juan County, Navajos have never held a majority of the commission seats until now. And that's because of gerrymandering. That means Navajo voters were stacked into one district to dilute the Navajo vote in the other two districts. After the Navajo Nation sued successfully to redraw the districts fairly, Willie Gray Eyes was kicked off the ballot when a member of the county filed a complaint, accusing him of living in Arizona. His name was ordered back on the ballot in August, thanks to U.S. District Judge David Nuffer, because John Nilsen, the San Juan County clerk, falsified the complaint document. He changed the date the complaint was finalized, thereby giving Gray Eyes less time to argue his case. With just a few months left, Gray Eyes followed up with a competitive campaign, dead set on giving a voice back to the local natives in San Juan County. On a larger scale, this race has a direct impact on Bears Ears National Monument, because the previous commissioners strongly opposed it, and now a majority of the commissioners are Navajos and strong advocates for the monument, which is the ancestral homeland of our tribe and 4 other tribes. Luckily, we were able to speak to Gray Eyes about the importance of this election, and this is what he had to say.
I have read on the importance of impartiality, fairness, and equality. So those would be interpreted in terms how services are distributed through the San Juan County government to the local people. It should be equally applied to the reservation residents and voters. That is what I stood for, and that's my constituents.
What do these victories mean for the future of Native Americans in politics? It means now more than ever, Native Americans have the capacity to fearlessly challenge the status quo and let our voices be heard in every faction of society. Young and old, Native Americans embody the spirit of perseverance as we become a voting bloc. Many of these elections are determined by narrow margins, so when we vote consistently, we strengthen ourselves, and we encourage future generations who will pursue positions of leadership. This year, we had a record turnout, thanks to all the candidates mentioned here, and congratulations. 2 years from now, let's get out and do it again. Thank you all for watching. This is Little Chase.